Yorktown Memorial Hospital, 30,000 square feet, 30 years of abandoned, but not empty. Angels, demons, shadows, and spirits. The legends and lore run rampant through these dilapidated hallways. We risk it all when we dare to seek the truth. Don't close your eyes and don't turn your back in the darkness of Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. Hello, guys. Welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. We hope you guys are doing great tonight and glad that you tuned in. What we're going to talk about tonight is one of our favorites, Yorktown Memorial Hospital. But before we do that, let me introduce you to my partners in crime, or my partners in the paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, and of course, the wizard that runs all the buttons and makes all the magic, Mr. Blake Smith.
Hey, y'all.
And then, of course, we have our human Rolodex and encyclopedia who knows everything about everything, Mr. Ryan Roberts.
Hey, guys.
Guys, welcome. I'm so excited. And I'm going to warn our audience right off the bat that whenever we talk about Yorktown, strange things happen with our audio and video. We have been on calls talking about it, and somebody has fallen out. So if whenever we're talking about Yorktown, if one of us drops out, don't worry, we'll be back. You may just have to give us a second. So, guys, let's get started on Yorktown.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're here. We're doing it. Woohoo!
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. And, to get started on Yorktown, I think we kind of have to go through a little bit of the history of how Yorktown got started and where it came from. And I'm just going to run this down for you real quick. So as far as the history goes, the Yorktown Memorial Hospital was chartered in 1950. And it was built in 1951, and it was built because there was a big need for a hospital in that community. The next closest hospital was in San Antonio, and that was like 88 to 90 miles away, and that would take you about an hour and a half to get there. And so you got oil fields around Yorktown, and you got all these like heavy equipment, all this heavy equipment running all this machinery. So you're going to need like a hospital that's close, because chances are you're not going to make it if you have to drive all the way to San Antonio to get some kind of medical attention. It was built with help from the Ford Motor Company. They actually donated a whole lot of money to help build the hospital. And it was the first major hospital in that community. And it was open until 1986, and it closed in 88 or 90, and then became a rehab facility, and then was open for about another year or two more years, and then it closed down. And it was completely staffed by a group of nuns known as the Felician Sisters. They were a very devout Catholic order. And they believed in chastity, poverty, and obedience. That was kind of their motto. That's what they absolutely held true to.
Damn, now I know why they don't like me. I'm not chaste, obedient. Okay, go ahead.
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah, no wonder they
not
hate
at all.
us so much.
No.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So, as you can see in this picture, you can kind of see what they were dressed like. And they wore a brown habit, a scapular, a headdress, a black veil, a collar, and a crucifix. And you can see them standing beside some of the hospital staff. I believe it's a couple doctors that used to work in the hospital. And when they founded in Yorktown, their motto for the hospital was that so more can live longer. And they just wanted to have a hospital in the community so they can help everybody. Now there are a few different stories about this hospital. We're gonna there's a lot of lore and legend that surrounds this hospital. Now some of the some of the reports that we get, some of the general reports that we get from this hospital are people seeing nuns walking up and down the hallways and in the chapel. And there's claims of over 2,000 people having died in this hospital. So that's a lot of death contained in this one tiny little hospital in the middle of nowhere, Texas. There's people who have also seen shadow figures. They've heard voices. They've been scratched. They've been bitten, and they've been pushed. Shelly, Blake have both.
Yep. We've had it all happen.
Yeah, I mean, you name it, we've all seen it, and it's all happened at Yorktown to one of us. I mean, we've seen all this stuff go down. And so, if like the hospital, there's a little bit of land around the hospital, and there was a former caretaker. So back here, if you look at the hospital, it's like in a cross shape, and behind the very top in the center, there's the one building that runs down the center. And two wings that branch off from that one building. In the back, there was a former caretaker who lived in a trailer behind the building. And he would, he was kind of a maintenance guy. He would go in and fix things, and he would try to make the hospital, a little bit better than what it was, kind of patch holes and do all kinds of stuff to fix it up. And he claims that he was punched in the hospital several times when he was in there by himself. And he also claims that he had an overwhelming sense of dread and sadness that came over him from out of nowhere. And he claims to be a pretty happy guy. He's like, that's not me. And that just happens to him when he's in the hospital. And his daughters had come to visit him whenever he was living in the trailer out back. And his daughters had their hair pulled, and they were yanked out of bed by something they couldn't see. So that's just from that initial caretaker. Now, when you walk into the hospital, you have to you have to go up through like this little foyer, and that's looking directly down the foyer, like towards the chapel. And as you walk down the foyer,
very creepy.
It's a very, very, very creepy. It's a very creepy
intimidating.
Feeling. Once you cross that threshold, the best way I can describe it and how I've tried to describe it to people is like, how like when you walk into a party and you can feel like there's tension or like in the air, or there's like people around, there's like there's a lot of activity, and that's the best way I can describe that feeling. Once you cross that threshold, you're not by yourself when you go in that door.
Mm-hmm.
You can immediately tell. And as you go down this hallway, you come to a T, and right in front of you is the chapel. To your left is the labor and delivery wing, and to your right is going to be the surgical wing. Now, if you go down to the labor and delivery wing, there is a little girl down there that people report haunting that wing. Her name is Stacy. And she is a little girl who was supposed to have lived at the hospital. No one knows her last name. However, she was supposed to reside there, and people hear her giggling, and they see a little girl, and she appears in the children's wing, and she rolls balls, and there's been reports of her appearing and throwing rocks at people while they were investigating. Now, she's like one of the main ones that's down in that labor and delivery wing. Now, if you turn around and you look back down the other direction of the hall, there is a wing that's called the surgical wing, and that's where the emergency room and that's where the emergency room.
That's the area of the first floor that I do not like.
Yeah, it's real creepy down that way. Like there's a lot going on down there. There is a doctor who was reported to haunt down there. His name is Dr. Navarsky, and he was one of the oldest practicing physicians in Texas. I believe he practiced until his 90s. And he botched several surgeries. There's actually a famous story about him botching a thyroid surgery and actually cutting the throat of someone who was supposed to be taken care of at the hospital. And I believe the person bled out and died.
And didn't that earn him a very unusual nickname?
It did, because of all his botches and because of all the things that he did that he wasn't supposed to do. The nickname for him was called the Butcher. And people I don't think they called him that to his face. I'm pretty sure it was behind his back, because you got somebody doing surgery on you. You don't want to sit there and call them.
Yeah,
Butcher,
I don't want Dr. Butcher. No, thank you.
No, absolutely not.
Just let me bleed out. I don't need Dr. Butcher. Thank you.
So, and he was believed to have taken a real liking to Stacy as well, the little girl that happened to be at the hospital, and gave her a book. And if you go to the hospital, the book that he gave her is one of the books that people like to read to Stacy. It's called The Pokey Little Puppy. And people read that book to try to get Stacy to come out and play all the time when they're in the hospital. In addition to Dr. Dravarsky, who's supposed to haunt the OR down there, there is also another entity named TJ, who is supposed to haunt down by the emergency room, which if you go down to the OR, right there, that's literally the door that's back there by the OR. It's to the left of where the surgical room is. Like if you're standing looking down the hallway, the surgical rooms are to your right, to your left is the emergency door right there, and where they would have taken people in during the emergency room. Now TJ was supposed to have been a guy who overdosed, and his friends dumped him on the back porch and rang the back doorbell to try to get someone to come out and pick him up, because I guess they were scared that if they brought him in, the law was going to come after him or something. They just did not want to be involved in that whatsoever. So they just dumped him on the back porch. And when they dropped him off, like they rang the night bell, and I guess one of the nuns didn't hear it, or there was no one around that was up to hear it, or something to that effect, but no one answered. And so the next day they go to the back porch, they open up the door, and they see this giant dead guy just laying on the back porch. And he is
that'll ruin your cup of coffee, won't it?
Yeah, it would. I mean, I imagine she spit her cup of coffee out when she saw it.
Head out to cut and sunset and be like, oh, crap.
She probably swallowed extra hard when she saw him.
Now that sounds dirty. That sounds dirty. We don't talk about nuns like that. Don't go there. You are a very naughty boy.
Especially not these nuns. These nuns ain't no joke. I mean, they.
I ain't never met a nun that was a joke.
Okay.
Oh no, I've only heard. I mean, I've never been to Catholic school, but I can only go by what I've heard. And yeah,
I'm sure they're lovely.
So TJ is believed.
I mean,
I'm sure they're very nice.
They are. They're wonderful people who do a wonderful job.
Yes.
Moving on.
Shaping the minds of the future. So with TJ, there is a large shadow figure that people associate with TJ that they see.
Here we go. I have a feeling
we're talking about Yorktown
and several people.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna lose Ryan shortly.
Will have come in contact.
He doesn't even know he froze, does he?
No.
Can y'all still hear me?
We have you now.
We have you now.
But you're about to get kicked out because we're talking about Yorktown. This is what we were telling you about, you
there
guys.
There he goes. Right there. Yep.
Now, this is
exactly what we were warning you. Yep.
Earlier, when we were going pre-broadcast, going over what we were going to talk about, we had no issues. And last night, when we were on the phone discussing, we had no issues until we spoke about Yorktown. The second we brought up Yorktown, people started dropping off and falling off the conversation.
Shelley, as a matter of fact, you and I were in depth conversation about it. And then all of a sudden, I said, let me read you this from Yorktown. Let me tell you this about Yorktown. And you just started going, and I was like, I can't hear you. I can't make you out. It happens every time without fail.
Every time. Every time we talk about Yorktown. And that is what we warned you about before. I'm so glad you got to see that we weren't kidding about it.
Yeah.
That someone always falls out of the conversation when we talk about Yorktown.
Yep.
So let me tell you something about TJ. So the rumor that I've heard about TJ, well, we'll wait for Ryan to come back in and finish with his lore and legend, was that TJ tends to be more of a protector spirit. That's how I understand it to be, that he does kind of look out for other people because he wasn't taken care of in his life, that he actually tries to protect those that come in from other people. Now, you and I both know spirits that want to be extra helpful are especially not to be trusted.
Exactly.
We have all had that one who's like, trust me. And you're like,
I don't trust you.
Yeah, I don't trust you. And that is very interesting because that comes up in episode 2 of the Yorktown Memorial Hospital. So Blake, how many times have you been to Yorktown, Blake?
The last time that I went would have put me at 4 times because we did 2 nights the last time that we went. So I count those as 2 separate investigations, obviously, and 2 times before. So that puts me at 4.
And I have been there. I think I was sitting down to count, and I believe the last time I went was 14. So I
Yeah.
have been in there numerous times. So some of the really interesting things that I have seen happen in that hospital, just in general, talking about being pushed. I've seen people pushed. I've seen people get not only knocked to the ground. I watched a bite mark form on a lady's arm one night. And when I say arm, it wasn't like on the outside of your arm. It was on the inside of the elbow. And it was vertically inside the elbow. It wasn't like this way. It was vertically. And I don't know about you, but I can't bite it inside of my elbow.
I can't do that either. Mm-mm.
And she just basically walked up and she was like, Shelly, can you look at this? And at first I thought she got scratched. And then I looked and I went, holy crap, you got bitten. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, somebody take a picture of this. Somebody take a picture. And I, you know what? I will give that lady credit because she turned around and she went right back in that hospital. Now, me, I'd have been like, I'm going to stay out here for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be over here on the grass.
Yeah, I'll be on the grass. Give me some holy water. Give me some sage. And of course, give me, bless me, sage me, do whatever you got to do. But I'm not going to, no, I would have to have taken a little time out, maybe step back for a hot minute. So what, I guess has Ryan joined back in yet?
No, he's not back in yet. I don't know but he's probably having trouble with the link knowing that we're talking about Yorktown. I mean, we've been talking about this for days. We're like, we know we're going to hit bumps in the road.
We knew we would get it. We knew that Yorktown would kick someone off.
Yep.
And
I could have swore he would have been back by now, but
well, really, I figured it would kick me off first. That's usually what it
usually
does.
you are the first one that goes by.
Usually I'm the first one out. So now that we know, and I'll kind of help Ryan along just a little bit on this. Another one of the entities that is alleged to be in there, besides Stacy and besides TJ, is also you have the entity that I call Big Jim. And Big Jim tends to reside in the basement. Now, and Ryan's going to tell you that in doing some of the research, that the name that he got down there was actually Doug. There was actually a gentleman named Doug that was down there. And he was supposedly a big dude that likes to come up to people. And however, whenever I was down there, we were using the Ovilus and we were using the spirit box, and that spirit box is a dadgum Faraday. I mean, in that basement, it's a Faraday cage. There are no radio bleeds, no overlaps, you're not going to get radio bleeds coming through. If you get words, you're getting actual words on a spirit box.
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, a spirit box basically scans radio frequencies. It's like a little mini radio, and you sweep it and I always sweep it as fast as I can in reverse. And so you're listening for words.
Wait, here you go, Shelly.
Is he back?
No, look, read that comment.
What does it say?
Bless me, sage me. Totally need that t-shirt.
Oh my God, who said that? That was fantastic.
That was Jamie.
Ryan just sent us and said, did I crash? No, it says, did it crash? No, Ryan, you crashed.
No,
I'm just going to tell him that you crashed.
You crashed, my friend. I may have to try and send him another link. Let me
send him another
link. Let me try real quick.
While you're doing that, I'm going to finish telling everybody about Big Jim. So Big Jim, whenever we were in there and the spirit box was running and the Ovilus was going, I was saying, I need to know who's in the basement with us. And the first, I got just a J on the spirit box. I mean, on the Ovilus, I got just the letter J. And I was like, is your name J? And then the next one was I am. It came up below it. And I said, are you saying I'm J, or are you spelling out J-I-M? And through the spirit box, it said, I'm Jim. And I was like, Hi, Jim. I said, hi, Jim. I said, I'm Shelly. Nice to meet you. And at the end of the hallway, this massive figure just kind of formed. And he was at the end of the hall. And he formed in front of those windows that are at the very back of that basement.
Very end. Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever you come in at that T, at those crossroads, and you look to the far end,
let me see if I find a picture of the basement while you're talking about it.
Definitely.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. So
there's the basement. But that's from the window side that you're talking about, looking back towards the
correct. That is that. So this is the end of the hall that Jim actually formed on. And I would have been at that far end in the dark. Now, something about the basement. I have never, ever been afraid to be in that basement. I am completely comfortable in that basement. I don't want to be in that chapel.
I don't want to be in either.
I have never had a problem in the basement because for some reason I think Jim likes me, and Brian just said he swears to God that his StreamYard isn't even loading, but that's okay, Brian. Keep trying.
Keep trying, Ryan.
He started telling secrets. That's what it is. He started telling secrets, and so whenever and I think Jim takes care of me for whatever reason. I must amuse Jim. But I'll tell you what, the other thing that's rumored to be in that chapel, and the chapel is where I don't want to be. I walk in, I say hello, and I try to stay out of that chapel. It's alleged that there is a demonic entity in the chapel at Yorktown. Now, I am the last one to claim any place has a demonic entity because I think people are too quick to go, it's a demon. No, it's usually not. It's really not. And people are always screaming, it's a demon. No, it normally isn't. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a damn demon. I will say that 100% with conviction. There is something demonic in the chapel at Yorktown.
Absolutely.
So you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Knowing what you have experienced.
100%.
Okay. So with the fact that I don't usually cry demon and I don't want to be in the chapel, I would rather spend all night in that basement by myself than be in that chapel for 5 minutes with 20 other people.
Yeah.
So those are the alleged spirits. Oh, and of course we have the alleged priest that haunts the confessional booths in the chapel. And what we're going to talk about here in a little while, God knows, was it my idea to stick all of our asses in those confessional booths and do the astismetics? If so, just remember, you feel totally free to tell me I'm an idiot.
I don't remember. No, actually, you know what? John had the idea. I give John the credit. John's another investigator that goes with us as well. I mean, he flat out said, "You, me, Shelley in the not in the confessional." He said, "You, me, Shelley in the chapel." Now, if it comes down to who wanted to stick our dumbasses into the actual confessionals to sit there in a 2x2 room, I don't remember.
Well, I do think that the actual sitting in the confessional, since there were going to be 3 of us, and we brought up the 3 alone thing, and we were like, "Hey, we can stick us in there 3 alone." Right. Yeah, that was stupid. That was dumb. That was dumb. So now that we kind of know the lore, why don't you tell us, because we've gotten Ryan's lore, and I've kind of filled you in on the rest, some other spirits. Oh, Sister Mary Helena. That is it Mary Helena or Sister Mary? Sister. I totally just blanked. One of the nuns runs around upstairs, and she don't like nobody.
Yeah,
she doesn't like anybody.
I don't think any of the nuns like any of them there. But in saying that, let me tell you about what I think. Like, I'm going to tell you a little bit. Basically, Ryan just painted this beautiful picture, and so did you. And we're thankful. Hey, there's Ryan. Let's pull him back in. Hold on.
Y'all, it was the damnedest thing. I swear to God, this thing would not. Like, I tried every damn thing, and this son of a bitch would not do anything. I mean, I had to damn near I pulled my thing out of my ring light, and I was messing with it, like it just would not go back to it would not come back. Like, I could not get back on here to save my life. Finally, I'm back on here. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, we're talking about Yorktown.
Oh my God, y'all!
But Shelley helped to fill in the gap while you were gone.
Thank you, Shelley.
Hey, wait, but Ryan, you know the name of the nurse. I mean, of the nun. Of the nun. Around. What's the name of the nun?
Oh, the head nun, Mary Helena, I believe. Was
I did.
You were right. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just usually say, "Bitch, stay away from me," because she don't like me at all.
Is that first and last name?
Yes, bitch, stay away. Yes, because she does not like me, and she makes it very obvious she doesn't like me. Of course, the only one in that place that likes me is Big Jim. That's okay, because hey, if he's the biggest dude in there,
exactly.
Hi, Xander. You come on, you walk with me. I love you.
So now that obviously there's the history, the lore, and everything like that. But I know when we set out to find research on Yorktown to really try and put truth behind these lores and legends that we have been hearing, and even ourselves have given out to people that we've taken through there as well. I came across a dossier that is everything related to Yorktown.
Really?
And yes. And this dossier is written by a woman. Her name is Selena Summers. And it is not like I just went out and found Jane Doe's blog or anything like that. This woman is an author. She has written debut series, The Asphodel Cycle. She has written historical era travel and paranormal mashups. And she's also written a paranormal nonfiction called Stalked by the Zozo, which we know.
I was wondering if you were going to say that name or not. You know what happened when we said that the last time
we were
talking about this?
Yeah, I know. And that book in and of itself stayed at number 1 for 5 months after she wrote it. So she does her research. She spends her time collecting her facts and everything like that. So I found this dossier and I was just enthralled by it. I mean, I was hooked on it. I mean, just instantly. I didn't take my eyes off it. I read all the way through it first take. And I said, you know what? This is my stance on it. Let me take her. And she basically was fact checking some of the Travel Channel ghost teams that went in. And I said, let me fact check the fact checker.
Perfect.
And just see, because because I'm also a genealogist and a realtor. I know where to get newspaper articles, death records, birth records, land records. I know where to find all that stuff. So, Ryan, thanks for your lovely picture, but I'm about to destroy it and shred it.
He's Godzilla going into Tokyo.
I am. I'm just going to knock buildings down left and freaking right. So, okay. And in this, Selena looked through 40 years worth of DeWitt County newspapers, which DeWitt County is where Yorktown Memorial Hospital resides. She had the help of a lady named Pam Culpepper at Yorktown Newsview. So it's not like she was just finding random things. So the first claim that you said that I'm just going to obliterate is the 2,000 deaths, which don't get me wrong. Like when we as investigators hear 2,000 deaths over 30 years in one location.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huge.
As morbid as it sounds, we get really excited about that because
Yeah, there got to be some people.
Yeah, we're like, come on, let's go. Let's go
Like,
look for ghosts.
Yeah.
So I had but then I got to thinking about it and I was like, wait, 33 years. That's a high mortality rate. And then I came across this dossier, and this lady put together, I mean, it was like gold when I found it. This lady went and found the admission rate, the admission numbers and the occupancy rates for the 33 years that the hospital was in operation. Out of those 33 years, they only had 19,501 admissions. That's it.
Math doesn't work.
No, not
so
at all.
you have 2,000 deaths. You're talking about an over 10% mortality rate.
Yeah.
A hospital would have been completely shut down.
Yeah, there's no way they would have let that run.
So, boom, mic drop on that one right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that 2,000 deaths is highly unlikely. But another number that's been quoted is 500. Now, 500 could possibly be a little bit more plausible, just because that's a 1 in 40 people going in that perished within the hospital. The CDC states in 2010, mortality rates 2.4% on average for the United States. Take that up just a little bit, for modern medicine not being as advanced and all that stuff. And you can get 2.4% of 19,500 is 468.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to do math on this show.
I know, but
okay.
I have to come in with all this research. Anyways, that's the only math that we're doing, I promise.
I'm like, so what's the final number?
468.
Thank you.
So 500 could be a lot more plausible over the 33 years. However, you also have to remember back then, this hospital particularly was not like, and Ryan, you touched on it, was not like hospitals we know today. This was basically like an urgent care. They were not
pretty much
able to sustain long-term care, critical care, or major surgeries or anything like that. And also they were a 27-bed facility. That's it. So that just goes to, you can't have 2,000 deaths. I'm sorry. That's just way too high. I'm just going to go ahead and just say, tick that one off. It might be closer to 500.
And Blake, that actually surprised me because I didn't realize that it was only a 27-bed facility. Because of the size of it, it's actually quite deceiving because I thought there were way more rooms than that in there.
Yeah, it really is. And
I've been there 14 times and I've never bothered to count the rooms. I just know which ones I like and I don't.
Yeah, exactly. But I also kind of backed her up because she said that she was looking through all these newspapers. Well, I have a subscription to newspapers.com, as a genealogist. So I started looking, Yorktown Memorial Hospital, I got 13,900 and some odd matches. And I'm going to go on record and say with her what she says, 90% of those news articles were birth announcements. The other 5% had to do with staffing news, meetings, all that. 4.99% of them had to do with actual obituaries, but it was somebody who was brought from offsite to the hospital to receive a DOA. So they did not die at the hospital. I found that 0.01% of those news articles, or 2 articles, were actually related to deaths of a traumatic event at the hospital. That's it. One was a police officer that was shot, brought there, and died at the hospital. And another was a young lady who had a car wreck, and she wound up in a body of water and later succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. Those were the only 2 that I found. So I'm going closer to 500 deaths. Now, still, that's a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess spread out over the quarter, over what, 33 years you said?
33 years, yeah.
That's still, I mean, for a hospital, that's still pretty low.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But in those 500 deaths and looking through all those newspapers and reading this dossier, there is no mention of Stacy. There is no death record of a young girl in a hospital anywhere. There's no report. There's no obituary. There is no Big Jim or Doug, because sometimes people think he's interchangeable. Some think that they're separate. There's no mention of them. There is also no mention of a double murder suicide in the boiler room.
I was saving that for Ryan to talk about. Ryan, do you want to tell about the double suicide murder in the boiler room?
Absolutely.
Since we kind of took some of your time whenever Yorktown kicked you off the broadcast.
It's okay. Maybe this time I can get back on if I get kicked off again. We'll see what happens.
Let's see if you make it through it.
All right. So the double suicide murder. So that happened. So the story that I believe we've all been told and all been found was when it was a rehab facility, correct? Is when that happened?
That is what I understand.
Mm-hmm. So a nurse was working at the rehab, and her boyfriend or husband, the reports vary depending on who you talk to, was also in the rehab or working at the rehab. And she got real friendly with a staff member or another patient and went down to the basement to mess around with her husband. Get frisky while her husband or boyfriend, didn't know. Well, he finds out. He comes down into the basement, and they say he flew into a jealous rage and stabbed her lover, and then stabbed himself in the basement. And now that's been the story, but there's also another conflicting story that said from a former employee that said that he shot them. He shot the two, and then he shot himself in the basement. And ever since then, people have had very heavy feelings in the basement. People have, been attacked. I mean, we've seen someone be attacked in that basement. We have seen, and the blood splatter is supposedly still on the wall from when this happened down there. And we've seen what looks like blood on the wall.
It does look that way, yes.
It does. And people have captured a lot of aggressive bangs and EVPs in that basement ever since this was supposed to happen. But as Blake said, did it?
So it, Blake?
So my whole thing was that I could not find any mention whatsoever within all these articles and whatnot of a double murder suicide or a murder anyway in any form or fashion down in the basement. Now I'm going to throw a picture up so that people can see what the part of the hospital that we're talking about. So this is the boiler room where this is said to have taken place. Now I will say that I did set up a static night vision camera the last time that we were there, recorded for over 3.5 hours just by itself down there. There were a lot of bangs. There were a lot of taps. There were a lot of that stuff. So I believe that to be true. But the blood supposedly, a report that I did find, was supposedly tested with luminol, and it did come back as blood. But we're talking about a hospital that's set abandoned for 30 years, over 30 years. Oh, yeah. And there was a period of time prior to them going, oh, they're desecrating this hospital. We got to, fence it off or whatnot. Who got in there? Was it an animal? There's so many open possibilities.
I don't know how an animal would bleed up on the top of the wall.
If you think about the fact that two animals are getting into it and one is attacking the other, and if it's big enough and grabs it and slings it like that, it could sling the blood up on the. Was it somebody who was trespassing who cut themselves and was just
could have been a maintenance worker who injured themselves?
Exactly. There's the so many possibilities. Yeah, that we will never know for sure. But the fact that it is not documented is the part that makes me go, well, did it happen? Are we just feeding into this lore even more by repeating these claims that aren't documented? That's my only thing. So I'll keep going on what I also found, because Ryan, you gave me all the spirits, and all the spirits happen to be on my little list.
And what's funny is that, Blake, you have become extremely fuzzy in my view, and you're actually pixelating out now that you're talking about it.
I got a
not you, not this time.
I got a couple of comments already that's like, Blake's blurry. I got a text message that was like,
that's
you're
because
blurry.
You're talking. You're telling their stories.
I know. So going back upstairs to the emergency room, TJ, Everybody, for some reason, loves the story about TJ. Yes, it's a sad story, but at the same time, he always seems, as Shelley, like you said, a protector. So everybody kind of seems drawn to him when they go in and investigate because he's one of the warmer, if you will, spirits. There is no death or obituary or anything for a TJ or a name that has T and J for first and middle name. There's no report of a gentleman dying of an overdose at the back door. Now Selena, the lady that wrote the dossier, she did say, well, I got to thinking about it because she did find a report that said the nurses were having a hard time containing their patients. They would get out, go across the street and slap the feed store people. Yes. Like just walk in and just,
damn.
Yeah.
So they were just letting them out to roam wild?
Well, no, it wasn't that. They were just sneaking out. The nurses couldn't contain them. Because there were so many of them and so little of the nuns working that they were just, I'm gonna go for a stroll and slap the shit out of a clerk tonight.
Let's go slap the piss out of the neighborhood.
Exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live next door.
Oh, hell
thank
no.
you.
No, I wouldn't.
pass.
No, I wouldn't either.
How'd you like to try to sell that house, Blake?
No, thank you. I'd be walking
And as far as amenities go, across the street, we have a
Pay no
hospital where
attention
people
to
get
that
out and slap the
building
piss
over
out of
there.
you.
just keep the blinds closed on that whole side of the house right
Yeah.
there. So she got to thinking, okay, was he a patient at the time that got out and couldn't get back in? Maybe that's the story. Maybe the story is being told in reverse. But no, still nothing. And
Still
I even
nothing
tried to look.
documented.
I even tried to look for him. Couldn't find him. Couldn't find anything. Nothing. No death certificate. No obituary.
Man.
Nothing along that lines. Now the last one, I think it's my. Hold on, I hate looking down, but I gotta make sure I got it right. Okay, yeah. The last one that I want to talk about is Dr. Nervisky. I can't say his name.
The butcher.
I'm so sorry. The butcher. Yeah. We're gonna go with the butcher. Is the butcher. Supposedly at some point he had slit a patient's throat in the middle of a thyroid surgery, just like Ryan has said. Now, this guy practiced medicine. I believe he was 92, Ryan, to answer your question on that.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. His hand might have been shaking a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, if that would have happened even back then, you would have had, there would have been somebody held responsible for it.
Oh,
you would have had some type of malpractice, lawsuit.
Would they, though? Would it have been covered up for the good of the hospital, for the good of the small town? You can't have anything negative reported. What if they close this down? This is our only one.
And it's a good point. It's a good point. It's a good point. And that was a thought that crossed my mind. Is would they truly just completely cover it up to where it wasn't, it wasn't told? But went on the hunt with the Selena lady. Not with her, but along with her dossier. And, there's nothing out there with any boards that show any malpractice whatsoever in his entire career. There are no lawsuits against him ever. The only thing that is out there that has his name on it are a couple of medical journals that he's written for his profession. That's it.
Wow.
Nothing else. And so I think my thing is like, you have a crazy haunted hospital. Ooh, let's throw a crazy doctor in there. Ooh, he slit their throat. Ooh, he's the butcher. That's kind of the feeling I start getting when I start looking into all of this stuff. Now, Shelley, you may have a really good point. Small town, Catholic church, may want to cover it up. Don't need that bad press,
Yeah.
But at the same time,
there still should be some documentation somewhere, because like we were talking about the other night, if you're in a small town, oh honey, they like to talk. You know what Aunt Lucy's, brother-in-law, that dirty dog that he is. You know what he ate for dinner? I'll tell you. Yeah, he couldn't afford that either. You know everybody's business. So I'm kind of with you on the sense that, I think that it could have been covered up.
Hey, wait,
really?
Here's a good comment right here. Y'all go ahead and take a look at that.
Do you really think I can read that? I don't have my glasses.
It's from Stacy, and she says, I think you should consider that this place was ran by Catholic nuns, and no offense, Catholics only tell you what you need to know and nothing more.
I mean,
okay, now wait a minute. Let's preface this. Stacy is a good Catholic.
She is.
She can say that.
Absolutely.
That is not us saying that. That is Stacy saying that.
And remember, too, the story we've always been told is a lot of the records are missing from this place. and that's the story we've been told. I mean,
Did you find anything on that? Were the
who
records?
knows?
Because we have heard that the records have been burned, that the records were destroyed in a fire, that they were
took
lost,
them
that they
whenever
were
left.
that they were flooded away. I mean,
I never found anything in any of my research that confirmed nor denied though that claim.
I love confirmed nor denied. I love that.
So I could not confirm nor deny that the records were removed from the hospital after it was decommissioned as a hospital and or drug rehab facility.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance. There could still be a chance. You never know. Am I saying that nothing shady happened in that hospital? No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to continue on telling the story of this butcher that's in there, you're kind of slandering somebody who doesn't really have anything bad against him in his entire career. The man's dead. You can't slander anybody who's dead, honestly. I mean, by slander and libel laws, obviously. But what if he was a guy that was just doing good for the community, and now all of a sudden he has this negativity associated with his legacy and his career? Now, honestly, if that was me, I'd come back and haunt the son of a bitch for years for that. I'm like, oh no, you're tarnishing my reputation. Let me show you something.
Like, what?
Yeah, let me show you something.
So he could be here. He could be there because of that. But I've started to believe that I don't know about the slitting of the throat. I think that there would have been some type of orderly or surgical nurse or something that would have come forward with that, or would have reported it along the way somehow. You know, I mean, and how do you explain it to the family? Oh, by the way, I just went and, missed by 6 inches. My bad. I don't know. So that leads me to believe of asking the question. What I started asking the question was, okay, what the hell does haunt at Yorktown Memorial Hospital? We've all three been there. Between the three of us, that place has been investigated. But the three of us alone. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That.
Okay. All right. Do you understand what you... And now you're cutting out. And now you're cutting out.
My bad.
Okay. We will talk about Three Alone on the next episode on part 2 of Yorktown. But funny how you just accidentally throw that in.
Accidentally said that. I didn't even think that. So anyways,
the three of us.
Hold on. Here's a good point real quick. This was just put in. It says when a hospital closes, the records have to be retained under an associated doctor.
Maybe a path to look down.
Could be. Maybe some more research needs to take place before the second episode.
Maybe.
I vote you.
Oh no, yeah, because I'm already down this rabbit hole so flipping deep. I'm dreaming about the research by now.
So because Blake is now frozen again. Okay, you moved.
Okay, you're back.
He's back. Okay. So with knowing now, having debunked a lot of these stories and stuff, so like you were saying, Blake, we know what we've experienced there. So what could account for what we've experienced if it isn't legitimate spirits that can be documented? What the hell is there? Because
shit!
And because we are just about to get to the juicy part 2.
And she asked the question.
What is there?
She asked the.
Wow. There she is. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay, she's back.
Hey, Shelly.
All right, we're good.
hi. See,
welcome back,
Yorktown.
And I said you asked the question and then you go away.
What the hell is there?
Yeah. Right as.
Did you at least hear the end of the question?
What was there? That's where you cut
and
out.
then it went goodbye.
Yep. And then you went.
You cut right out.
So that's what I began thinking about. Okay. What haunts at Yorktown Memorial Hospital? Like we were saying, all of us been there. Between us, that it has been investigated over 20 times by now. But just between us,
top to bottom.
Top to bottom, over and over. We've all had very personal experiences. We've all had very negative personal experiences. So there is obviously something there. Our other team members that go with us from time to time, they've all had negative experiences as well. That's 6 people combined, all have a negative experience. So my theory is Shelley, you had mentioned a story to me at one point that you had walked into Yorktown Memorial Hospital and you found paraphernalia of satanic rituals.
Yes.
So in that time where people were trespassing and breaking in and doing only God knows what satanic rituals, I've come to the determination that whatever there is demonic, as you said, in the chapel is demonic, and it was summoned there. And part of me would even walk the very fine line of saying that that demonic entity itself is a soul collector.
Oh, that's an interesting theory. Expand on that, please.
Because Shelley, you have had a very personal experience that you will be talking about later. I am not going to delve into that. I will let you finish. But it happened to be with a single spirit. And I have also had a very personal experience with a singled out spirit. Both of them female for me and you. Mm-hmm. And I think it was whatever has a hold of that hospital had its guard down in those moments to allow those two female spirits to make contact with us. And I think it's holding them there, along with some other spirits as well. I think that that's why you get random names on spirit boxes and ovuluses. And is it ovuluses or ovulusi? No, I'm just kidding.
Ovuli.
Ovuli.
I don't know. You can't afford more than one of them.
No, you can't. And they're always on back order.
Can I order one? It'll be 8 to 12 months. Oh, you want me to pay now, though? Oh, no. I'll wait. Let me know when it gets back.
And so then the other thing that me and Ryan had, well, actually all three of us have had a conversation about as well, but me and Ryan had a conversation about as well. I think that there's another entity there. Yeah. And it walks along the lines of a thought form entity. Now, Ryan, you have a more specific name for a thought form entity, and it's exactly how I said. So I'm going to let you take over from here and explain your name on it and what you think is there on that.
Okay. So the name that I came across, and this is something I had never heard before, and we had been there investigating so many times, and I was watching a show, and they were at Oddfellow Asylum in Missouri, and they had all this like negative activity happening in this one particular area, because it's a big complex, but there was like one particular like hospital area that were having all this negative activity happening. And they had a guest investigator come in, and he was very versed on like occult and stuff like that. And he claimed, so what they did is they went in and they had an SLS camera. And they had their SLS camera, and they saw something crawling across the ceiling. The SLS camera mapped that out. And he was saying that it was something called an egregore. And what he was saying is basically, based on the evidence that they had captured, it is something that when people go into a location and they expect to encounter something negative, they're bringing that negative energy into that location. And if enough people start going into that location with that same mindset and that same amount of energy, it eventually begins to form into something that becomes an entity that begins to roam and haunt wherever these people are investigating.
So wait, so you're talking like it's like they built Frankenstein's monster, and now the monster can do whatever he wants. They don't have any control over it. Like everybody kind of put a piece in to create this.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly that.
And it just comes from people having that, like if not to get too in the weeds, but a lot of people who who are in the occult and study the occult and stuff, like it's all about like setting intentions. And if you go in with a bad intention, chances are you're going to find something that is not good.
You reap what you sow.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. And, and this also kind of explains, which I said not to get too in the weeds, but why people see like Slender Man and things like that. Like these things are not necessarily actual entities, but enough people are thinking about these things, and enough people are putting out that like energy that these things somehow latch on and form into something that is tangible.
It feeds it.
Yeah.
So they talked it into existence,
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think because we have had so many negative experiences at Yorktown, and because something is always wanting us out, something is always trying to tell us that we have to leave and stuff like that, I believe, based on everything that they captured in this episode that I watched, it just kind of solidified the fact that that's what I think is there. And in addition to the demonic entity, which, by the way,
I want to touch on him real quick, because I've been watching the comment thread. There's been a couple of comments that have popped up that said, "Can you expound on a soul collector?" So my definition when I think soul collector is yes, there's people who have died in this hospital, obviously, or people who don't know that they're dead that are still stuck in this hospital somehow. And now you have this demonic entity that has been summoned to this location, who has now taken hold of this location, and he is literally holding them there and will not let them pass. He kind of becomes somewhat of a collector of them to keep them contained within this location.
Like he feeds on them?
I don't think that he feeds on them. I
would think he would need to use their energy when no one's around to give him energy.
Well, and that's where I have a feeling of like the thought form entity, because the negative energy that is being brought into there, I think it can become an extension of him. You know, big man on top, all little minions down below. He uses all of them to pull that in and be able to feed himself.
The king's got to have a court. Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And what I was going to say is let me preface this whole thing with our whole demonic entity like thing that we've come up with. Like, you have to, like, this group.
We don't.
No, we don't. We do not label something demonic ever, unless we think that there is absolutely something there that is demonic. Because
that we have experienced more than once to convince us of that.
Exactly. Like, we are not going to run around into a location. Just because there's a negative entity somewhere does not mean that it is a demon.
Right.
You know, and we do not say that term lightly. We do not use that term very lightly at all. So just want to preface that and throw that out there by saying that, you know, that's not something that we do.
I'll say that there's only been one other place that I would say has demonic, and I've been doing this for 15 years. Only one other place that I can say that I honestly believe there is something demonic there. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, go ahead, continue on.
But Shelley, I want you to kind of expand just a little bit on your, because you've heard me and Ryan talk about a demonic entity that's been summoned to thought form and everything like that. So what is your opinion on basically everything kind of summed up so far? Like, where do you stand?
Well, kind of like I said at the beginning, I am not afraid of that basement at all, but I believe that entity that I will call demonic, in this case, I will call it demonic, resides in that chapel. And I think that he feeds on the fact that people think there's something demonic there. And when I walked in the very first time, I did not walk in expecting something demonic. I walked in going, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait. And what unfolded throughout the night made me kind of cock my head to the side and go, okay, what is going on with this? And even the second and third time I went back, I was not convinced that there was anything demonic. What convinced me that there was something demonic there was when the ordained minister that's on our team got up to give a sermon. And in the middle of the sermon, she suddenly stops and looks straight at me in the dark, finds me in the dark, and says, Shelley, you better run. And then she continues on with her sermon. And of course, I'm like, well, what the hell are you talking to me? Get on about your sermon. Leave me alone. And so, of course, me and I pop up and I go, why do you want me to run? I go, I don't run. And she goes, because they're coming for you. And did this evil. And she will tell you she does not remember saying that. She does not remember saying that. And it suddenly, the whole room got weird. And I was like, okay, it's time to stop the sermon. It's time to stop the sermon. And the reason why I asked her to stop the sermon is because it appeared that her face changed in front of this entire group, that it looked like part of her face began to melt. And I have these in pictures where in a series of 10 pictures that I just kept snapping the pictures, and it actually looked as if her face changed. And I'm like, we need to close this down. Fortunately, she wasn't so far oppressed that she wasn't able to go, crap, Shelley's telling me to stop the sermon. And she did. And she went out and she did not know. She called me the next day because somebody else told her. And she goes, why didn't you tell me? And I go, I wasn't mad. I knew it wasn't you. But I have seen things happen to people in that chapel.
And Shelley, you just reminded me of something. Do you remember one time we were there, and at the very top of the chapel, there's like a little area where there's a little golden cross, and we saw like a face begin like.
Yes, we did.
I mean, dude, this like, and it was just like a dark, like it was a male face, but it just started like, and it stayed there. It began to form and stayed there for 30 minutes.
About 30
minutes. The whole time
minutes.
we were in there. I mean,
Wow.
and it was just like ominous looking too,
And
whatever it was.
do you have the pictures of that, Ryan? Because I remember thinking that I didn't.
Do not, because I think
Okay.
because we were all trying to figure out if it was
We
a
were
reflective
fascinated
surface.
and trying to debunk it, putting lights
Yeah.
on it, see if we could make it disappear. But I don't. Somebody has pictures of that.
Unfortunately, I
Literally,
don't have
and it
any.
was right up there, and it just looked like this face began to form, and it just sat there, and it wasn't the moonlight coming through the windows or
Mm-mm.
anything like that, because in that amount of time, you would have had clouds come past or something and block this out. But no, it formed and it stayed there. And the
Mhm.
odd thing is that in that chapel, and I know that you guys know this about me, and some people that have watched before know this about me, that
Mhm.
whenever I come into contact with something that is negative, let me just say negative, not demonic, just something that's nasty, that just is just basically cranky, grumpy, and basically unpleasant,
Mhm.
it tends to make me sick. And I think both of you have witnessed me in that chapel, and I always stand back by the confessionals because that's where it tends to like come out. I have felt literally something come out of that confessional, go right through me, and make me feel as if I'm going to throw up. And
Mhm.
most of the time, if I step out of the building, I mean, out of the chapel, I'm fine. But there was a time that next to last time that we were there, right by the
Mhm.
confessional, that one,
Yeah, that one on the very far right,
the
there.
very far end,
Mhm.
at the
Oh, my
back behind the pews.
confessional. Yay.
Yes, your confessional booth. That I literally had to get completely out of the building, and I began to shake, and I had to have the ordained minister was kind enough to come out and fix me.
Mhm.
And then what do? I run right back in, and I'm screaming at it. And
Mhm.
you guys, sorry, whenever I get angry with something, I don't start it, but I'll finish it. I think I called it a motherfucker and told it not to ever do that again
Oh yeah,
in front of a whole bunch of people. Excuse my language, but yeah.
Well,
And
hey,
the
you know
thing is,
what?
too-
It opens the door. Then you gonna come through.
That's
You know,
right.
you attack first. We coming back.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I didn't start it, but I will damn well
No.
finish it.
And-
By the way, there a couple of comments have called the Yorktown Memorial Hospital the demon and his little minions. It's a pyramid scheme.
Are they
Goes
trying
from
to
the
sell
top
me
down.
Amway? Is that what's happening?
I don't know, but a pyramid scheme. It's like you collect this amount of energy, and I'll take a portion of that. And,
You know what? That's actually a very good way to describe it.
It is.
Absolutely.
It really is. I mean, good job on that,
Mhm.
Angel. That was Angel. That's hilarious.
So what was you guys' most profound experience in Yorktown Memorial Hospital? Who wants to go first?
Blake, you can go first. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, and honestly, this is, I'm not like you were, Shelly. Like for me, I didn't need 3 or 4 trips to know that there was something that was kind of demonic there. I just needed to find.
I
this
didn't say I
research
didn't
that-
know. I wasn't
Well, yeah,
convinced.
sure.
I wasn't convinced.
Yeah. I guess then we are on the same line. Then I retract that statement.
You
Because
better. Go ahead.
Thanks, Shelly.
That's it. Shelly about to get demonic up in here.
For real. So it was on my most profound experience, honestly, was my very first time there. I was up in the nuns quarters. Now,
Mhm.
nuns quarters, I'm going to throw that picture back up just real quick. And nuns quarters is the top level of the center building. So the center
Mhm.
building that goes from front to back, it's the top level there. That was the nuns quarters. Now, they don't like men up there because it was a
Nope.
nuns quarters, and they don't like
Me.
tattoos. Well, yeah, or Shelly, just specifically Shelly.
I really hate me.
They also don't like people with tattoos.
No,
well,
they do not.
I mean, I don't know if y'all know, but I am a man.
Really?
You know.
Would you
And if
like
you
me to
see-
tell them my nickname for you?
I don't care. Go
No,
for
I'm
it.
not going to. Go ahead. I don't mean to disrupt your story.
And I'm also covered in tattoos. So I'm standing up there. Ryan, you can attest to this story because you were there
yeah.
with me.
I was standing right there when it happened.
Yep. We were standing in the library, and I'm going to show the pictures of it. This is one side of it here. And then flip around on the other side of the room. This is the other room. So you can see in this picture on the left-hand side, you can actually see the wall that separates those two areas.
Mhm.
That is the area I was leaned up against, just arms folded, leaned up against. Now, Ryan is standing directly kind of in front of me and off to the side a little next to that table where all that equipment is laid out. And all of a sudden I said, whoa. I said, I'm getting this tingly sensation on my knee. And I said, let me see a K2 meter. And somebody handed me one. I threw it down there by my knee, and all of a sudden it starts spiking to red. And Ryan's like, whoa, you really got something happening right there. You know, and of course I double checked, No, nothing was around that would have set it off. And I circled it all around my knee, and everywhere that I took it, it was just spiking red. I take it away from my knee, put it up towards my chest, stuff like that. It dies. Put it back down by my knee. It's spiking red again.
Yep.
And so I also, after that, I walked out into the main hallway, and I'm standing there with my hands on my hips, and I've got my aunt this way and Ryan this way. We were the only three right there in that little section. And I felt something run by, and it went on my elbow. And I went, holy crap, I just got hit. Or I got touched. Mm-hmm. Ryan, I didn't touch anything. I didn't bump into anything.
No,
like
absolutely not. You were standing away from the table. There was nothing around you. There was nothing you could have possibly touched, period. You had, there's nothing.
Yeah. So the next morning I wake up and didn't even think anything of it. I had a pair of basketball shorts on. I went back to my aunt's house, stayed the night, woke up, went out on the back porch, had a pair of basketball shorts on. And I looked down right at that tingly sensation, and this is what formed.
That's a bite mark.
Holy shit,
is
dude.
A bite mark on my knee.
Wow.
Where you can actually see the individual teeth mark. The top one up there towards the top of the picture damn near broke the skin.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but if y'all get bit that hard, you're going to feel it. You're going to react to it. And I didn't have a single reaction to that in that moment. Not one. I just said, it's tingling down here. That's it. So I got bit. Now, the crazier part about it, it wasn't a normal size mouth. That was the thing. It was maybe the size of a $50. Maybe. Mm-hmm. But the imprint were human teeth.
And you can see that in that picture. I mean,
absolutely. Without a doubt.
Marks.
You can see the individual dash marks of the individual teeth. It's, Can't explain it. Have no idea. But that is probably my most profound experience there at Yorktown. I got bit on my first investigation there. Welcome to the club. I got bit.
Absolutely.
Did I run back 2 months or a month later? Absolutely. I was like,
you went back
again. Mm-hmm. I got bit. Let's go.
It's okay.
And then you got scratched when you came back that next month and in the chapel.
I did. I have actually been bit, pinched, scratched,
touched,
pushed. Hit, pushed. Every single time that I've been there, one of those things has happened to me. So it gets physical with me, and I'm okay with it because I will keep going back. You ain't gonna run me out of there.
That's right.
Absolutely. You got to keep coming back.
How about you, Ryan? What was your most profound experience? I think I know what yours is, but you might have chose something different.
I mean, it was over the course of one night. So there's like a few different things that happened, and it I think lends to what happened to Blake with being bit and all that. But so we were there one night and we were walking around. This is like right before guests get here. It was in the wintertime, so it got dark pretty early. And we're just kind of walking around, and me and another investigator were taking pictures down this hallway towards the surgical suite. And about midway down the hallway, the best way I can describe it, it looked like 2 points of light that looked like, how like if you shine like a flashlight at like cat's eyes and how like they reflect. It looked like that about midway down the hallway, and it looked like it kind of leaned out like that, into the middle of the hallway, and it was about 2 foot tall. Is the best way I can. I mean, it was short, whatever it was. Yeah. So if you're looking at about midway down that hallway, you can't see it in this picture, but midway down that hallway is where it was. I mean, and it just leaned out and the 2 points of light. So I took a picture at that time when I saw those 2 points of light in the middle of the hallway that looked like eyes. Well, as I start looking at that picture and zoom in, you can see at the end of the hallway down here, if you look at the end of the hallway and you look to your left, you see where that window is next to that reflective cabinet? You can see that at the bottom of that window, there's something that you can
there's a figure in the very center of that screen. That looks like a child.
It's transparent.
I can see that.
It's transparent.
But the outline is definitely there, almost like it's wearing like a dressing gown of some kind.
Exactly. Like, and you can see a face
I can see that.
At you.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I got that picture, and then we were kind of looking at it the other night, and y'all ended up seeing a few more different things in that picture. And Blake, do you have that?
So Yeah, I
Well,
do, and I'll say the first thing that I'm leaving this one up on the screen for just a minute because the first thing that stands out to me is yes, on the left hand side with the window, you can see that figure kind of peeking around. It looks like that corner. But the first thing that stands out to me is what the heck is this big black mass that takes up the whole right side? If you look at the ground, you can see the light, barely see the light coming through the door. And you can see whatever this black shadow is, it's blocking out a portion of that light. And if you travel up that, you can make out something that's a shoulder and a head. Now, I outlined it to show you tonight. This is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I'm seeing. And like,
so if you go back to the original, whoops, sorry, go back to the original. My bad.
and see, you guys, what I see is right in the middle of the screen, right in the middle where you not that. I'm saying if you look straight down that single point of light in the very middle, and you look down, that looks like the outline of a child right there to me, with the head, and then it goes to the shoulders like a dressing gown, and you see the feet, and it's literally right in the center. That's what I see.
What you're talking about.
Did y'all
you're
see
seeing
that before now? That to me looks like a child standing right in the middle of the hallway.
Okay, I do see what you're saying now, but the thing that drew my attention to it was the face, because it's transparent, and that's what drew my attention to that down there. But you know, like the more we've looked at this photo, the more we see like several.
I know we
things
see something different every time we
yeah,
look
we
at
do,
it.
we do. So between the three of us, we're all three seeing a different spirit in this photo. That's the thing. I'm seeing the big black mass. Shelly, it seems like you're seeing something in between what Ryan is seeing and what I'm seeing. Is what I'm understanding. Is that correct? You are the picture person.
Shelly is the picture person.
Very much. Very much. Now here's what I did, because we got to talk about this. I went and found one of my pictures of the same hallway at nighttime that I took, and I zoomed in exactly the same area that is. You can't see either one of at least the two figures that you and I see, Ryan. And I haven't really looked, because Shelly just brought that one up. I haven't really looked for that third one, but this is my photo. There's no figure. There's no figure peeking around the corner. There's no big pitch black figure.
Yeah, you almost said some big bitch figure, right?
Almost some big bitch figure. Absolutely.
We get tongue tied. Sorry.
So
seeing that in that picture was pretty profound. But what happened after that?
So then there was another investigator that had an SLS camera. And we, all night long, me and another investigator had been chasing something around that hospital. It was about 4 foot tall, because we could measure that with our K2 meters, because we go up right above its head to where, you know, and the K2 meter would just die. And then you go, you would like kind of do like an outline of whatever was standing there, and the K2 meter would be tacking out to red. And we kept asking, you know, are you a kid? And it kept saying yes. And then we'd ask again, and then it'd say no, answering questions on the K2 meter, and just kept running around the hospital all night. And we kept running into the same thing all night long. And the investigator had the SLS camera. We were in the basement, and there is a room in the basement that has a cage. And I think in the intro video, you saw the video, all of us standing in the cage getting the picture. Well, the investigator with the SLS camera maps a figure that crawls up the cage and across the ceiling. And we were like, what in the hell is that? You know, there's no reason that SLS camera should be registering that, you know? And then we started asking questions again. And this thing, like I said, about 4 foot tall, started answering our questions again. And then it would leave. And then we find it again later on in the hospital. So another investigator pulls out a pendulum. And she's like, I'm going to find out what this is right now. So she says, are you human? It says no, according to the pendulum. And then she says, okay, well, do you mean us any harm? And it says no, according to her pendulum. And then she says, well, are you fucking with us? And it says yes. So, I mean, to me, I don't know what that is, other than what we've been talking about. Like, it's either a thought form, or, you know, I think that the demonic, I keep saying demonic for some reason. The demonic entity, the demonic entity, I think, hangs out in the chapel a lot. But whatever that thought form is we were talking about is like almost like a trickster, and is running around the hospital and trying to throw you off. of what
totally
could
agree with
possibly
that.
be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and
Absolutely.
that's just one of the plethora of like stories we've got coming out of this hospital. So,
yeah, whenever we got talking about telling our most profound story, we're like, oh my God, just one. And they're like, we're going to be talking about just one for hours. It's like, so yeah, just one is very difficult in this location because it is active. And again, some nights it's very active, some nights it's just a little active, but some nights it just flat out acts up. And on a night that it acts up, it's truly a dangerous location to be in.
Oh yeah,
it is. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Before we move on, though, I had a couple of people who wanted me to throw that picture back up outline, so I'm going to throw it back up just real quick.
Okay.
Just so you can see it, or they can see it.
And see, the image that I was looking at is actually is split down the center by that circle that is on the way I'm seeing it, the round circle, the rounded one. What I'm looking at is split right down the middle of that line of that circle, and it looks like a child just right there in a white dressing gown. Yeah,
I can see the shoulders where it would come down.
You can almost see where the feet are.
Yeah, you can almost see where the feet are at, and it's like in between the figure peeking around and the big hulking black one. Yeah. Wow.
I don't know what y'all are seeing, but that's what I've seen from the beginning.
Well, Shelley,
Ryan,
Shelley, what was
good picture?
Oh, thanks, man. Because Shelley, what was your experience?
Well, I'll tell you one that was probably that I can honestly say was the first time that I will term it as ever losing my shit on an investigation. I'm not the kind that gets, oh my God, it has to run out. You're going to have to really make me sick so that I'm more embarrassed and don't want to puke in front of somebody for me to leave. But I can always come back in. This was the first time that I was ever completely overwhelmed by emotions that did not belong to me. I had gone down into labor and delivery, and I was with one other person. Everyone else was either in the chapel or in the basement. And for whatever reason, I'm like, hey, let's go down here. Nobody's down there. Let's just go by ourselves and see what we can get. So we get down there, and I walk into labor and delivery, and it just kind of got this overwhelming feeling of sadness. And it was like I just kind of started tearing up, and I'm thinking, okay, what's wrong? I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm like, okay, get yourself under control. You got this, And it kept coming on. It kept coming on. It kept getting more powerful, more powerful. And suddenly the name that popped in my head was Elizabeth. And that's why I said, Elizabeth. I'm like, Elizabeth. I said, your name popped in my head for some reason. I'm like, Elizabeth. And then I hear, no, Betsy. And I was like, not Elizabeth, Betsy. Not Elizabeth, Betsy. Betsy is your name. And the second I said, like I'm doing right now, second I said Betsy, I got completely okay, time out. I got completely, kind of like I'm doing now, like I'm an idiot, got completely overwhelmed and started crying, and it was uncontrollable. And all I kept saying, and I kept getting this image of this lady who was looking for her baby. And so I was like, Betsy, your baby isn't here. And you look at me, damn. I was like, your baby's not here. I'm like, if you want to find your baby, you have to leave here. I'm like, and you have permission to go. Just go. I go, you're free. You can leave. Go, and you'll find your baby. I go, but you have to get out of here. And I looked at the person I was with. I go, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, I gotta leave. So I turned around and I'm like trucking down the hall. So I'm like, I gotta get control of myself. And the person who's with me is walking just a little bit ahead of me. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I just turned around. And I thought, I'm going to take a picture. And I snapped 3 pictures. And what's funny is that I didn't even see it. I had showed it to one of my friends when I was telling them the story. And they go, what is it? And I zoomed it in and I looked at it. And it looks like a lady holding a baby, a full shadow figure. Blake, you have that one? As I get myself back together here. Sorry, apparently it still affects me. But to me, it looks like a lady holding a baby, and that's outside the labor and delivery room. Now, I will tell you this, that after having gone back to Yorktown, and that was probably my 3rd time at Yorktown, I've gone back down and asked if Betsy was there. Never felt Betsy again. Never been overwhelmed by those emotions again there. Whenever I talk about her, I get overwhelmed. Kind of like I do with Lois Higgs whenever I talk about Waverly Hill. Okay, let's not start that. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, let's
not combine them. God Almighty, you just have to. I'll just be laying here on the floor. Y'all just continue on without me. But that okay. I'm back. I'm regaining my composure. But but I've never felt Betsy down there again. And it was almost like, kind of like you said, with like the soul collector, and like something had a hold, something was keeping things. I would 100% agree that the only reason I got to talk to her was because whatever was in charge was busy with everybody else down the hall. And I think she got, I'll just say me, she got the right person in the right moment that was going to pay attention to her. And the second she knew that someone was paying attention to her, it was like, oh my God, here's everything I'm feeling. And it was, and I feel like she needed permission to leave. And I think that's all she was waiting for. And again, that's just my opinion. I don't know. Comments, guys, since I'm still trying to, kind of get the crap out of my eyes here again. Because I'm tough and I don't
no,
cry.
well, I mean, I think I'm going to throw it up one more time just so that people can see it again. This is a shocking picture to me. I mean, you can clearly see legs
like she's holding her baby
that are cut off at the knee by a dress of some sorts, a bundle of blankets in the middle of her torso, and she is looking like this.
Yeah, she's looking down like she's actually
Yep.
It kind of looks like it's kind of half faced, like she's kind of like I found her.
Yeah. And I think in that moment, I agree. I think whatever has a hold of that hospital was completely distracted by whatever else was happening somewhere else, and she had that moment. And I am chilled up right now. She had that moment that
All good.
she just shoved it all on you and made you feel it, and you were the one who gave her permission, and she was able to get out of there because of you, in my opinion.
And something, I just thought about this. What if, because we know what's there does not like you at all.
Mm-mm.
What if it's because you gave her the power to leave and it lost something that it was trying to hold down?
Now, I believe at the beginning of this, I said that it took me several visits to Yorktown before I was convinced there was something demonic there. I believe that was my third visit. If I go back and look at my my date stamp on those pictures, I think that was my third visit to Yorktown that she came through. And after that's when the really negative stuff started happening to me.
Everything's gotten more intense ever since, hasn't it?
You know what? Bring it. I'm scared of you. Bring it.
Well, we're about to lose Shelly off of this. There goes Shelly.
So anyway,
Too funny.
I don't know. That's an interesting comparison because I hadn't even thought about that. But that was, again, that is one of many. But to me, that is one I have photographic evidence with, that I can validate that whatever it was I was feeling, I have photographic evidence because for whatever reason, something told me to turn around. And when I turned around, I just took 3 pictures, and there she was.
And I'll briefly touch on something because y'all two have been with me. Y'all two have been with me the last 3 times I think that I've been, or y'all may have been all the times that I went. I don't remember. But anyways, I don't know what it is. Like I touched on it earlier about the female spirits there, like to try and make a connection with somebody. But Ryan, you can attest to it as well, because I think you've led just about every Estes method I've been a part of in there. And I always get contacted by a female. And there is this female there. The last time that is.
Are we rolling into Estes method?
We are rolling into Estes method. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to see some videos? Heck yeah!
See some mess now.
Watch us go through and do what we actually do.
Yeah, y'all. We've been tame till now.
Yeah. So and for some reason, the one thing, and I even told y'all this last night on the phone because I watched one of the Estes method, and she specifically says or has me say, Blake, help me. And there is no question in between those two statements. There's 5 seconds, but there's Ryan, you don't ask anything. There's no talking. And I go, Blake, help me. And it's just things like that that lead me to believe that there is some type of soul collector there that is holding them there. So anyways, and speaking of Estes methods, that's a wonderful transition, isn't it, right?
Absolutely.
So when we were putting this together, we were like, we have to show our Estes methods. We have to show what we do. So we're giddy about this part to be able to talk about them. So.
And Shelly, did you want to explain what an Estes method was?
Oh,
for people who are uninitiated and don't know.
If you do not know what an Estes method is, it's basically, and there goes Ryan.
Right as we're getting to the good part too.
Do you know what? I have time to explain, and he'll jump back in when it's juicy. As long as all of us don't get kicked off, we're all good.
Exactly.
So again, there it was. He just See, because he's he's been led or been part of every single one of them.
Every single one of them, yeah.
So the Estes method is basically an exercise in channeling. You take an SP7 spirit box and you put on headphones so that you can only hear, and that you run them as loud. I mean, you'll be deaf and your ears will be ringing whenever you come out of it. So you can't hear anything except the spirit box. And you also, just like what Blake has on, it'd be like that, except imagine being his ear as loud as all go. Boy, that'd make your head hurt, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then there he is.
Hey, I'm
Hey.
back.
And then you put on a blindfold, and the blindfold is so you're not given any visual cues, because people pick up on macrofacial expressions. Like I go, can you tell me your name? Some people can read lips. So of course you blindfold the person. So it's sensory deprivation, so that you only focus on listening as to what's coming through the spirit box. This is supposed to give you an open communication, an open, gateway to speak to spirits or to let spirits speak to you utilizing the white noise. So what do we do? Yeah. Let's go try it. Let's go sit in the confessional booths in the chapel, because that's Shelley's favorite place.
Oh, wait, no. We don't just give them one. Usually it's done with one person. We decide that we're going to be fun and give them 3 people.
At the same time.
At the same time.
At the absolute same time.
And it was like herding cats for Ryan.
Yeah.
It was.
And the thing is too, when we'll preface this before we do this too, like when you do an Estes method, it drains you so much. You get so tired after doing it. Like if you're leading it or if you're involved in it, it's because you're allowing whatever is there to use your energy to channel. And you just get by the end of the night, I mean, you could probably sleep for like 3 days if you do multiple. And
it is psychically draining. I mean, psychically it is draining. It's emotionally draining. It's physically draining. And a lot of times whenever you get doing this, normally, like, we will teach people how to do it, but if you've never done it before, we never allow you to stay under more than 5 minutes. Now, we have gone, some of us, as long as 27 minutes, Mr. Blake. I have gone as long as 22 minutes, I think, was my longest. And but even then, and you come out of it and you're fuzzy headed. It's like everything's kind of confusing, and it takes you a minute to get your bearings back. And usually, if one of us that leads it or participates does it, then we stop everything and we go and recollect before we come back to do it again. And usually we don't do more than 2 in a night, because it just takes too much out of you. So Estes method explained. Go ahead.
So, we're going to show you what we do at Yorktown in the confessional booths. What you're going to see is video of Ryan leading the Estes method. He is the one that's going to be asking the questions. He's the one that opens the circle. And then in the confessional booths, you will have, from left to right on your screen, you'll have John in the left confessional booth, who's another one of our investigators. You'll have Shelley in the middle in the priest booth, and you have me in the right confessional, which is where they say the lovely demonic entity loves to reside. And this one got super freaking interesting. So first off, just to show y'all how we open things up, this is actually Ryan opening up Shelley for the Estes method.
Sit down.
all right, Shelley's going to give me the go ahead. All right. When I take my hand off of Shelley, Shelley is allowing you to channel through her. When I remove my hand, Shelley, you are allowed to channel through Shelley.
So that is kind of opening the circle. And then literally from there, it went sideways.
That's always the best way I describe it, because if you aren't going straight, the more you're going sideways.
Nope, you're going sideways. So this next clip, and we can talk about these if y'all want, if y'all have more comments that you want to add after this, but I would like to play the clip first and then let the people see it. So in this one, you're going to kind of hear Shelley and Ryan kind of going back and forth just a little bit. So
how long have you been here?
You need to stop.
Stop what?
Okay, I normally don't say anything that's negative, but I just got the word demon. God damn it, it's a demon. God damn it. Okay.
get out.
Why?
And Shelley, that moment you got touched.
I did.
You see her get touched at the very end, but right after I said get out,
Yeah, because I got the and again, I especially in a location like that, I don't usually choose to say words like demon and that kind of thing. Watch me go off the screen now, because I don't like to say that because I don't want to give it any power. I don't want to acknowledge it and give it power. But in this moment, I felt like it was interesting because I heard the word and it was demon. I heard it like that. And I was like, and he goes, demon, God damn it. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to play fine. I'll say it. And it was much more aggressive that second time. And I'm like, okay, it's again. Yeah, all right, here we go, asshole. You know?
Do you think that it was someone trying to warn us? Or do you think it was something trying to like, hey, I'm here?
Actually, in that moment, I will say, I think it was someone trying to warn us because the voice was not aggressive the first time. It just goes demon. And it was really clear. And I thought, I don't want to say that. And he goes, demon, goddamn it. I was like, okay, relax.
All right.
It was like, it got really insistent. And I was like, okay, I'll say it. I'll say it. But yeah, it's funny because the more you do this, you begin to, you actually, you can hear inflections whenever you're doing it. And I know, I think all three of us actually try to say it the way we hear it.
Yes.
So
That's exact. And if I got them talking on top of each other, I'll say, like you, I'll be like, demon, that was male, or it's a demon, God damn it, that was male. Like I'll let people know, and I'll say them how I hear it. Yeah, that's exactly how I do mine. So,
absolutely.
In continuation of Ryan and Shelley going back and forth,
we probably should say that you can't hear me, I can't hear you, and neither one of us can hear John.
That's
We
true.
definitely can't hear
Yeah.
Ryan because these earphones are so loud in our ears. We can't hear any
so
questions.
we
anything.
have these type of headphones on. These headphones that I have on right now are actually the headphones that I use for Estes method. These are noise canceling.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
It's all my fault. I brought the Estes method headphones to the Zoom
I wouldn't
meeting.
bring those in my house.
I don't have anything else. Anyway, so in continuation on this next clip, you kind of hear Ryan and Shelley still going back and forth at each other. Well, at least maybe I should just say Shelley going in on Ryan.
That sounds dirty.
Who are you?
You talk too much.
Well, you don't need to get ugly.
We'd like to listen.
Let's go. Where are we going? Yes, please. Okay.
Together.
You want us to listen?
Who are we speaking with?
I don't like him.
So
Not like
obviously,
me either, apparently.
It's not personal.
yeah, it's not personal. Apparently,
not
they
personal.
don't like Ryan either.
Hey, I like to talk. Sorry.
You know what I thought in that moment though, when I was in going back, and again, we've all gone back and watched these. I don't even know how many times. What I thought in that moment was, I actually think that whatever was talking to me was actually, it says, I don't like him. It didn't say I don't like you. It says, I don't like him. I think that was actually talking about the spirit that was in one of the other sides. Because it
definitely
didn't say,
could be.
I don't like you. It said, I don't like him.
That's a really good point because my voice right before I say, get her.
Yeah. And I go, I don't like him.
And you go, I don't like him. So you really could not be talking to Ryan. You could be talking to the spirit that was talking to me.
I think I was going at whatever I thought was coming after me, or whatever. I think it was actually the spirits talking back and forth. And maybe I was trying to tell Ryan, hey, I don't like him. Can you handle this? You know.
And that's something very unique to Yorktown, I feel like, because we've been several locations and done several Estes methods, I mean, all over the place. And this is the only place I feel like they're like, a lot of the times they're talking to each other and we're like listening in on a conversation with them.
I would agree with that.
Because there are, I mean, as you'll see in some later clips, I mean, it's just like y'all are going back and forth, like talking to each other.
Well, let's just go ahead and show this one, because in this one that I play, that it's Shelley, it's me and you at this point. And it really does sound like the two spirits that are speaking through you and I are, well, I don't know if mine's talking to you, but you sound like you are definitely talking to me, because Ryan's trying to get some answers out of whatever spirit's coming through me. And you will not let mine talk. You keep telling me to shut up. So
kind of like in real life.
Kind of like a real life. So, anyways, y'all pay attention to how Shelley reacts to what I'm saying in this one.
Do you want our help? Leave.
Why?
Shh, shh. Like, I don't know if it was a hiss or a shush. It was shh, shh.
Look at that.
Who do you want to leave?
There you are.
Wow.
No.
It was like that.
Why do you want us to leave?
All of you.
Why?
Don't talk. Don't. Don't.
Man.
Don't talk.
And see, it's interesting to me because every time he says, "Why do you want us to leave?" after I've responded, and Shelly, you keep going, shh, shh. I don't know if it was a shh or a hush, but it was shh, shh. And then you tell me at the end, he says, "Why do you want us to leave?" And you go, "Don't talk, don't talk." Like you're like commanding my spirit or whatever spirit's talking to me not to talk.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, that could be taken to one of two ways. Maybe I'm telling your spirit to shut up. Don't trust these people that are trying to talk to you. Or I could be telling Ryan, hey, don't talk to him. He's not good. He's not going to tell you the truth. So there's, you never know. You have to just kind of roll with whatever you take in the moment. I don't recall the way that particular voice sounded. I do know it was a male going, don't talk to him. So I don't know.
And something
Interpretation.
And something else I want to point out too, and as we go along in these clips, you'll see there's an investigator holding a K2 meter on Blake in that confessional booth. And if you watch that K2 meter, and you'll see it in other clips too, I mean, that thing just stays tacked out at like orange or red the whole time. And
The whole time.
Very unusual.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's only that confessional booth, it seems like, because there were other people that had K2 meters, and it was just there. It's lighting up like the 4th of July, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was also the weird part, because at one point I was saying things like, I'm here in here. And that thing is just spiked to red. I kept getting my neck blown on the back, kept just felt like somebody was right behind me, and it just goes like that, just right on the back of my neck. I kept, but it kept freaking me out. I'm not gonna lie, and I kept getting touched too. So, sorry, I have my little cheat sheet notes over here.
That's okay.
Oh, totally fine. I'm looking at mine too. So,
I'm just going off memory.
Well, and this is actually the part that we were about to talk about. I'm glad Ryan, you said something about the K2 meter being tacked out, because this next clip really shows it. Because this is actually when I say, I'm here in here. And then Shelly, you say something that's pretty rather compelling.
Yeah, go ahead. I know where we're going.
Oh, I'm not repeating that.
He's a whore. It said he, not she. It said he's a whore.
Who's a whore?
Warmer.
If somebody's got a camera, take pictures behind me. There's something behind me right
Yeah, there is.
I'm there.
Yeah, that K2 meter is lighting up and holding steady red wherever Blake is at right there.
What about 3?
You feel like something was touching you? Well. Is there somebody back there?
What about 3?
To your right.
Yeah, can somebody take pictures over here of Blake?
She's working on it.
Okay.
5.
5 what? Shelly just said to your right too.
Please help.
You're right.
My right?
Him. I love Blake.
Yes.
Okay. Who's to my right?
We're right at 7.
Get off me.
I don't know them.
Fuck him.
Fuck who?
Yellow.
You lied.
Or he's yellow.
Fuck John? Why are you so fascinated with John?
You get it.
Get out.
What about yellow?
Get it.
Why?
Man, that is holding steady over there with...
See me?
I mean, I think we do if you're manipulating that K2 meter.
Right there at the end is when I get touched. Right
You
there
see
at the
that
end.
orb go right
Oh, yeah.
into that.
well, yeah. So the investigator gets touched. Shelly goes to your right, and that investigator is standing to the right, and Blake, you're in that booth in the right, and I believe I asked, I was like, to the right, and Shelly says you're right, and that is directly to my right.
Specifically, you're right. And that was the thing, because that comes after I say, I'm here in here. And I think it says right after that, Shelly says 20 seconds later, to your right. And then she repeats that 20 more seconds later and says, you're right, to your right. And they say, talking about Blake and because Kat says that, or the other investigator says that, and Shelly goes, yes. And then that's when it goes down, and I say, see me, and that thing is tacked out at red. That orb shoots out, and I say, see me, and Ryan, you're like, I think I do. I mean, shoot, lighting up equipment like freaking crazy over here, man.
I mean, and to me, that is a compelling piece of footage because you have Shelly calling out like things happening to the right. There's no way she knew it was happening to my right.
Well, you can't see.
People getting touched and orbs flying out, and yeah, there's no way.
I thought we were going to laugh about the fact that I said he's a whore.
He's a whore. Specifics.
Yes, and it specifically said he, not she. So I was like, oh, good. I stated on this one. It's like they said he's a whore. I was like, you don't know me. Okay.
So yeah, I know they ain't talking about me because I'm a nice young man. Okay, so
yes, you are.
He's covered his face up.
Don't talk. Don't talk. Oh my god. Okay, we got a couple more of these to get through. So
all right.
We could be here all night trying to entertain y'all with laughter, but
yes,
we know y'all came for another
we
specific
don't
reason.
want to get super off topic, and I'm very good at doing that.
Yes, exactly. So, well, we all can, honestly. So the next part is an even, I think, in my opinion, even more compelling clip because of the pictures that are being taken and the fact that I am blindfolded and that thing is still tacking out red. So I'm just going to play it. Just remember, I'm like you, Shelly. I close my eyes when I'm doing
I keep my eyes
I'm
closed.
I do the same.
I'm blindfolded, but that thing's so hard on my eyes, I just keep them closed. So this is where it gets weird. Listen to my responses.
Let me give it a minute. Dimple.
Stop.
Stop what? Taking pictures? 7.
The time.
Taking more pictures.
You'll see me.
Stop.
Oh, male voice said, I can stop this.
Can you touch the piano?
Yes. Stop.
Why?
Why should we stop?
Get out.
Why?
Get out.
Why?
John.
You want John out?
Dick. Asshole.
Now we're getting fired up.
Man,
Are you wanting John alone?
there ain't no need to be ugly. We're not being ugly to y'all.
Get him.
Get who? There's no need to be ugly.
Get Steve? I think it was Steve. Get Steve?
Is there a Steve here?
That's me.
Oh.
I'm gonna go speak.
Oh, well.
Explain all of that to me. The whole clip. I can't see what's happening, but every time a picture's taken, it's stop. What do you do? Like, stop. You'll see me.
You'll see me.
Shelly
And then-
says, male voice says, I can stop this. She has no idea what's going on.
I normally don't in general, not even when I'm doing the Estes method, especially then.
Yeah.
You didn't have to agree with that.
I was saying, yeah, kind of for me as well. But then at the end, at the same time, get him. Get who? And Shelly responds to your question that I said it first. It was get him. You say get who? And then Shelly responds to you and says, get Steve? Is there a Steve? That guy's like, that's me. That's me.
You know what?
Yeah.
If I was Steve, I'd have been like, no damn Steve here. You got the wrong
No,
name.
Steve who?
No,
Yeah.
ain't no damn Steve
You
here.
ain't
Keep
lying.
talking. No, I wouldn't admit it. I was Steve. Somebody says, get Steve. I'd be like,
Nope.
that's that dude right there.
I mean, but you got something calling out like positions in the room where things are happening and calling out, you'll see me after they're getting their picture taken and calling out someone in the room, get him. And there just happens to be a Steve there that are trying to.
I swear to you, I did not know that there was a Steve there. I had no idea. I mean, you guys know that I am very good with names, but I got to tell you, when we got done with that, and I was like, was there a Steve here? He goes, yeah, I'm Steve. I was like, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. I had never seen that man. I'll tell you the truth. Where I was like, did he wander in? Does he have? I'm like,
but here's the whole point of that, because even if you had met Steve that night and knew Steve, this was after our initial groups. Steve could have been anywhere in the hospital.
Steve could have left.
Yeah,
But
so
I
you could've
didn't.
left.
I didn't ever recall meeting
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah.
And
But I'm just
he
saying,
was
if you
very
did,
unfamiliar to me whenever I saw him. And again, whenever you've got that many people, you aren't going to remember every name.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no way. So, and then it just kind of goes on, and it still gets a little bit weird. There's more pictures taken of me, and that I continue to respond to. So,
Hi, Steve.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Are you going to be nice?
You know her, don't you?
Get out.
No who?
Touch the piano.
The valve.
I do.
You
You know her? Go.
Stop.
What about Devout?
Who do you know?
Stop.
Why?
Still don't like you.
Give us a
Okay.
reason.
Stop.
Oh, what?
I see you. If that's a female and it was wrong walking.
Okay.
I see you.
Hear me speak?
Thank you. Okay.
Get out. And that was very aggressive. That was male, very aggressive.
What do you have to say?
Want to fight?
No.
I asked that earlier.
There's no reason to. We're just trying to be respectful and trying to see if you're here. Can you not be ugly?
Blake.
We're at 10 right now.
It's just crazy. Like, to me, that's
Yeah.
just kind of where it gets even crazier because of all the pictures being taken where I'm just like, stop, quit, you know. And then at the end, what do you have to say? Want to fight?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Yorktown of all freaking places. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You know what's funny? You know
Not
what's funny
particularly.
is that
Yeah.
is that even with all of that, the next night we decide we're going to do it twice.
Oh, I know. We did.
Mhm.
We were like, so yes, let me play a couple more. We only have 2 more that I really want to showcase
Okay,
for
let's go.
everybody. And then we can kind of go a little further. So this one is interesting just because it sounds like we're talking to each other. Now remember, we are blindfolded, noise canceling earphones on, and we are separated in different confessional booths. There's no way we can hear or see each other. And this sounds like we're having a conversation between us. Get out.
Why?
Blake.
You want Blake out?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Do you want Blake or John out?
Locked up.
Every one of them.
Both of them.
Shit.
You're
Can-
too loud.
Can you tell me why?
Let them in.
Let's show him things.
Yeah.
Wow.
I say my name and you say, do you want Blake out? And John goes, John, 2 confessionals down, goes, yeah. Which John, I love John under Essence because John really does say exactly how they say it. So it makes for some pretty good moments. But I mean, even that, when you're like, do you want Blake or John out? Every one of them.
Mm-hmm. And that night, they were just picking on y'all hardcore all night long.
were.
For some reason, they just absolutely wanted you out of that hospital.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the last one that I will play, and then we can continue our discussion, is that, yes, it is a little bit weird, Shelley, what you are saying in this clip. But however, because
Oh, wow.
this is the climactic moment. What the crap?
Oh, she'll hop back on.
She will, but this
Hopefully.
is
Oh, God. Well, let's just hope it don't do what it did to me.
God, I know. This is the climactic moment, and it drops her. What the crap?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, yeah, hopefully she'll be back in a sec.
I'm going to say, welcome to Yorktown, y'all. Welcome to Yorktown. This is it.
Every single time, man. Like, you could, we could be on the phone. We could be on, I mean, no matter what communication method we are using, we can talk about this
Doesn't
place.
matter.
And this type of shit happens all the time.
Doesn't matter.
All the
Yep.
time.
I'm
It
trying to
absolutely
see.
does not matter.
Yeah, she may be having trouble because usually she's back really quick.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to me earlier? I mean, that could be happening. You know, it's like right when we're about to get to something.
Yeah, and we're about to get to the really, really good part that I'm going to extend on after I show the clip. But I was hoping Shelley would be here for it, so I guess I'm just going to have to wait for her. See if she pops back in, but I'll go ahead and I'll play the clip.
Sure.
It's a short one, so I can replay it if she jumps back in. But
Yeah.
this is towards the end of this, and something happens. Yes, Shelly's comments and what she says are very kind of disturbing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But listen to her, but pay attention to me on the right side of the screen in that one particular confessional booth, and I'll explain what happened after it plays.
Absolutely.
I'm on fire. Fire.
What are you afraid of?
Pretty sure the word was fire.
All right, well, let's pull them out. All right, guys, we're gonna pull these guys out. Pull these guys out.
In hell.
I'm on fire in hell.
In
Now,
hell. Yeah.
now I'm gonna play it one more time, so that way, if anybody missed it of me on the right hand side, just so they can make sure that they caught what happens to me, because I'm about to tell a story about that. So one more time.
I'm on fire. Fire.
What are you afraid of?
Pretty sure the word was fire.
All right, well, let's pull them out. All right, guys, we're gonna pull these guys out. Pull these guys out.
In hell.
Freaking crazy.
I
was going to say the issue was the fact that, Ryan, you have led almost every Estes method that I have ever done in Yorktown.
Yep.
Almost every single one of them. And I'm trying, hold on, let me make sure Shelly's not messaging us, because, okay, she's not yet. So I'm going to try and resend the link to her real quick. I want to try and get her back.
For sure.
Hold
But
on
yeah,
one
like
second.
I have ran a lot of Estes methods in Yorktown. When it comes to doing Estes, or when it comes to like which we didn't feature in the video, but like there's a piece of equipment called a portal that is basically like a spirit box on steroids, where you use a guitar amp and distortion pedal to kind of get rid of that white noise so you can hear the answers a bit clearer.
Yes.
I've ran a lot of those in Yorktown. There was, I mean, and always in that chapel, I remember the first time I ever went to Yorktown. In that chapel, they are very talkative. Yeah, hey, you're back.
I'm back. It
Hi,
only
my
took
friend.
me a hot minute.
So now that you're back, I will play it one more time, because there is a lot that's happening in this clip, and it's only a couple of seconds long. So listening to what you say while also watching what happens to me on the right.
I'm on fire. Fire.
What are you afraid of?
Pretty sure the word was fire.
All right, well, let's pull them out. All right, guys, we're gonna pull these guys out. Pull these guys out.
In hell.
Yeah. I'm on fire in hell. So in that moment, what happened, and the reason I go like this and I throw my hand up, I was telling Ryan right before you jump back on, I've never, ever, ever pulled myself out of an Estes method. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard some very nasty, derogatory slur words used against me in an Estes method. But in that moment, I got grabbed on my arm, and that was the flinch, because I was trying to get away from it. And in my ears, this voice came through, and it just goes, "Kill him."
Whoa.
And I said, "I'm done." I said, "I'm out. Pull me out."
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to repeat it. I wasn't going to go any further. I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
yeah.
I remember you got up and you, like, you know, you're fearless. You know, you don't run, and you got up and you went out of the chapel as fast as you could and went out in the parking lot. And I remember your hands were shaking
bad.
because you were so.
I mean,
It's
like,
unnerving. It's unnerving.
yeah. So that's the Estes method at Yorktown, y'all.
Now, if they would like to be able to see the entire Estes method, where can they go to find that?
So if you go onto our YouTube channel, Everything Vaguely Paranormal, we have uploaded that entire video in its entirety. Night one. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I
this
was
is
like,
only- this is only night
I was
one,
like,
y'all.
what's Shelly waving her finger at over here for? This is only night one, by the way. It gets
And this is
crazier
the
in night
tamest
two.
of all of them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is the most tame.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Wait till y'all see night two.
You got to come back for night two, because, as Shelly just said, this is tame compared to that night. So I'm gonna put something up on the screen, because this has been asked about, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 times, and we need to answer it, because
Sure.
this is a really good question that has come up in different ways. Does any of this stuff end up following you home, or how do you keep from following it home, or any of that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I'll share my
Good
advice
question.
on it. Yeah, great
Okay.
question. When you
Yeah,
figure it
that's a
out,
very
when
good
you
question.
figure it out, let us know. My opinion on the matter, I have gone up against that, and then y'all can also throw yours in too. I've gone up against stuff at Yorktown that is considered that we all consider demonic, dark, negative, and nasty. I have been saged. I have had holy water used against me. I've grounded myself.
Holy
Everything that
oil,
you could think of.
less salt.
Yep,
Mhm.
all of it, everything you can think of. And I still brought something home with me from the June investigation that did torment me in a way. I would see things. I'd be in my bed, seated up in my bed, watching TV early morning with my cup of coffee, and I would just see something around the corner go. And in my head, yep. And it was dark. It was black, and it was in my master bedroom doorway. These headphones that I used, every time I'd use them, working on something, I'd set them down, and they would move them on my desk right next to me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I don't bring my equipment back in the house.
I
It
don't
stays in
either.
my car.
I leave my equipment outside. It does not come in my house.
Everybody else in our group leaves theirs out in the car. I'm the
You
only one that
don't
brings
bring
it
your
inside.
You don't bring your equipment in the house.
Yeah, I know.
Ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. So, Ryan, what's your take? How can you keep it from going?
Have you ever had something follow you?
So what I always do whenever I leave a location, whatever works for, whatever your belief system is, whatever works for you. I always tell whatever is there, you have to stay here. You can't follow me home. You're not welcome in my life. You're not wanted in my life. Thank you for whatever you've given us while we're here, but you have to stay here. And, I was raised, when I was growing up, like I was raised religious. So I say a little prayer and whatever has to stay there. And then that's how and also when I leave the property, I step onto the grass and not onto the concrete because concrete is reflective and whatever energy is around or on me, like can be, absorbed into the ground and
Absolutely.
it stays there. So how about you, Shelley?
Which one? I mean, we've always kind of had this thing about how we've kind of had this conversation about once you get into the paranormal field and you begin investigating a lot, that you become known in the paranormal field. And whenever I say known, I mean in the spirit realm, known. Right before I went to Yorktown Hospital the very first time, I was excited about going there. I'd never been there before, had heard the stories, was ready to go. And I was staying at my friend's house on a couch. And it was just me, and she was upstairs in her room, and boyfriend was up there, and son was downstairs, and I was on the middle floor. I was all by myself. And I heard something whisper in my ear, "They know you're coming." And I sat up in the bed, and it literally, I could feel the breath on my ear, and I'm like, damn it, don't do that to me. That scared me. And she pokes her head over and is like, "What the hell are you talking? What are you yelling about?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Did you just say to me, they know you're coming? Did you just come down and whisper in my ear?" She goes, "Girl, I can't get my ass up those stairs that fast." She goes, "That wasn't me." I said, "Where's your son?" I went downstairs. Her son's asleep. Something whispered in my ear just enough to wake me up. "They know you're coming." That was right before I went the first time, which again, I thought maybe I was dreaming. I was so excited about it. Two times prior, 2 times prior to the last one that we did Yorktown, we went and I was at home the next night and I sat bolt upright in my bed and just that sudden be awake. And there was something standing at the end of my bed. Well, we've all got a fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know mine. I'm going to take a swing at the son of a bitch. And because in my head, there shouldn't have been anyone else in my house. There shouldn't have been anybody standing at the end of my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I was like, "You get out of here." Wham, took a slug and went ass over armpit into the floor. Then I thought maybe I should turn on the light. So I get up, the only thing really wounded is my pride, and flip on the light. I'm like, "I don't know who you are, but you go home. You get." I'm like, "You go home. You go home." I have no idea what it was. I didn't have a problem with it after that. But yeah, I took a swing at it because that's normally my response is like, yeah. And again, the only thing bruised was my pride for going, again, a full somersault out of the bed. So I took a swing. I neglected to realize that there was nothing below to break my fall except the ground. So yeah, I have had something follow me home more than once from not only Yorktown but other locations.
Mm-hmm.
So have
Well,
I.
I was going to say too. I think that as far as like keeping things from following you, whatever,
It's very
like I said,
difficult.
it is, but like, we would sage people before they left. And some people request holy water. Like it really just depends on what your belief system is really. Like whatever you associate with positivity and associate with whatever is going to, keep the darkness out, that's what a lot of people use in order to make sure that, okay, you have to stay here. I'm going to go on with my life. This is where you are. You can't come with me.
Correct.
And
that is something that I normally say. I say, once I cross
Yeah.
this threshold, I have to leave. You have to stay. You
Yep.
belong here. I do not.
Yep.
I have to
Absolutely.
go and you have to stay here. And once I cross the threshold, you may not follow me. Well,
Mhm.
you know what? Sometimes they're like petulant children who are like, I'm coming anyway. And you're going, okay, you need to knock this off.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes, and especially if there's one that you form a deep connection with, because honestly, after that night in Yorktown where I was overwhelmed with Betsy, I fully expected to have something follow me home that night. I just knew that any minute I was going to have a dream about her, or that I was going to wake up and see something, and I just didn't. So that was one where it was so intense that I was certain I would, but nothing happened.
Because some just definitely, they just want to be heard. They want people, they're like, oh my God, you saw me, you recognize me. Like and so they form an attachment with people sometimes like that. So yeah, you got to be careful.
Well, y'all, I think that that's night one, just night one of Yorktown. So we have a night two, and that's next week. And if you thought the stories and stuff that we told tonight were crazy, it gets even crazier on the second night.
You have heard us talk about Three Alone. We're actually going to tell you
Oh.
the Three Alone story, and you are going to see the Three Alone in a live Estes method.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You want to talk about some shit goes down.
Yep.
Wow.
That I led. So it's
That
all
Blake
three.
led,
Yeah.
much to his chagrin.
yes, very much so. So if there was a question that y'all asked that we didn't get to, we will go
Keep
back
sending
and we
them.
will. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
sending
absolutely.
them. We will respond as much as we can and answer any questions that y'all have. Go over to our YouTube channel, the Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I did put a link into the chat right here that is directly to the video. If y'all want to see the raw, unedited footage of that entire Estes method, it is up and you can view it. We're also going to be posting a couple of other videos that we have from Yorktown as well. So subscribe to YouTube channel, because that is where all of our video evidence is going to be placed. So we have caught a lot of amazing things there. And Yorktown, this was not going to be the only time we talk about Yorktown. Yorktown will come back again and again and again.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyways, I just wanted to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. Y'all have been so fantastic for carrying on the conversation on the side. I hope to get to know a lot of y'all more. I'm Blake Smith. My friend's here. Y'all can say bye. I'll let y'all
I'm
say
Ryan
it.
Roberts. Bye.
And I'm Shelley Pruitt. We wanted to say thank you so much for watching Everything Vaguely Paranormal, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.